Nå skal dere få se noe vesentlig økonominyheter som handler om gull og sølv og Amerika, dette her greiene. Det er også sensurert av Facebook eller data. Eller ja, jeg har prøvd å se den filmen flere ganger, så plutselig var det svart. Og det skal ikke, dette er noe med vanlige folk skal ikke vite dette heller, så det er ikke bare medisiner eller sprøyten som er sensurert, og dette her greiene. Økonomien som holder på å gå til helvete, det er noe sensurert i mange land.
Joining me in studio is the great Bill Holter from billholter.com, and he's a fellow Texan. And welcome back to the studio, Bill. It's great to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
You've been doing amazing work. I think your analysis is spot on. With the bank failures that are accelerating, you've been proven correct again and again and again. Right now, as you and I are recording this, it looks like 3 or 4 more banks may be going down. Give us your synopsis, if you would, please, of where you think things stand right now today.
There's been talk. I mean, you see Kramer, you see the talking heads saying it's over.
Oh, like the worst, panic is over?
Right, the worst is behind us.
Oh,
and I'm going to tell you, this is jacks for openers. I mean, this is the beginning. The dominoes are starting to fall. And it's funny, just in the last couple of months, my thought process has been, and I know you went through the same thing, for years and years, we talked about where this was going to go. And you took major crap from people left and right. You got trolled. You were called an idiot, tinfoil hat. And you had to explain and back up with analysis, logic, reality, math, as to why we were going to get to where we are now.
Right. But it was theoretical until recently.
Right. And at this point, now people have to prove us incorrect.
Exactly.
I mean, that's where we are now.
So, and I just want our viewers to know, you're also a gold and silver retailer.
Right.
And can they find out about that at billholter.com?
Yeah, you can go to my website. There's contact there, or I'll give my email address later. But I clear all my business through Miles Franklin.
Through Miles Franklin, exactly. Yeah, we know all the Miles Franklin folks, and it's interesting. You no doubt experienced the same surge right after the Silicon Valley Bank that the whole industry got hit. Can you describe what that was like to have the phone nonstop ringing, people wanting to put millions into gold? I mean,
I actually had taken off on Thursday, the day before all this happened.
Oh, you're kidding me.
I took off. I was going to take a 5-day break down at the beach, and Thursday night, Friday morning, all of a sudden my phone started blowing up.
Yeah.
And I mean, it blew up to the point where I'm talking to people with my phone on a charger because I had no charge left. I mean, I had never experienced anything. There were some big bumps along the way, but I'd never experienced a bump like this where people were just panicked to the point of they didn't even care what form of gold or what form of silver.
Yeah.
They wanted their money out of the bank that day.
Right.
They wanted, send me wire instructions. I want the metal. I want it now, and I want my money out of my account today.
Well,
that's fear.
A recent survey showed that I think maybe close to 60% of the American people do not trust their money in the banks now.
I think the number was 48.
Oh, was it 48?
Today, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Okay, maybe it's 48.
Yeah.
But close to half then.
Right.
That's astonishing because, 6 months ago, that number would have been 5% or something.
Or less.
Or less. So something dramatically has changed in people's minds about faith in the system or lack of faith.
It's the fact that some banks have already gone down. And I think it's also because the public has been fed so much bullshit that makes no sense whatsoever.
Right.
That even slow people understand now that they have been lied to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not, you can't put your finger on one particular thing, but so many people know that there's something not right. They might not know exactly what it is, but they know something's not right. And when it comes to your bank, you got to have confidence, and that's what the whole system is based on, is confidence. So, and it's cracking.
It's cracking in a huge way. But the number of exit routes out of banks, the exit to off ramp from a bank and get into gold and silver, that's a very narrow doorway that only a very small number of people can actually fit through. Talk to us about the supply and just the infrastructure of gold and silver retail. I mean, it can only serve a small percentage of the American people.
Right. There's actually 2 exits, and one exit leads to a brick wall in the end anyway. The one exit, the first one I'll talk about, and I've told this to CEOs of companies that say, I've got all this working capital in a bank, none of it's insured over $250,000. What do I do? I want to buy some gold, I want to buy some silver. And that's the right thought process. But for a company, you've got to have access to the cash.
Right.
So, I mean, if you put it into gold, if you put it into silver, it's kind of clunky.
Right, there's some friction in going back into cash.
Right, it's not easy back and forth. So my suggestion has been do treasuries direct with the U.S. Treasury. Don't do treasuries through your broker, because those treasuries are on your broker's balance sheet. They're not in your name, actually. They're in your broker's name. So if your broker goes down, you're going to be tied up for, who knows, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, who knows.
So you're talking about treasurydirect.gov.
Right.
Yeah.
Direct through the Treasury, and that's still a little clunky. It could take a couple days to move money back and forth.
Yeah. And isn't the shortest term they offer is 30 days, isn't it?
Right. And we can talk about that too.
Yeah.
Because now there's a big spread between 30 days and 60 and 90 days. And there's never been a spread before.
Boy, that tells you something.
Yeah, there's a spread now because everybody's piling into 30 days.
Yes.
And that's dropped the yield. I mean, the spread, I think, last I saw was over 1%. It was like 1.1 or 1.2%.
Wow.
You had this spread that makes no sense at all because it's only 30 days.
Right.
But what company...
Der stoppet det. Det er det som er litt utrolig med at til og med sånne nyheter skal nå være spamma.
Don't do treasuries through your broker because those treasuries are on your broker's balance sheet. They're not in your name, actually. They're in your broker's name. So if your broker goes down, you're going to be tied up for, who knows, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, who knows.
So you're talking about treasurydirect.gov.
Right.
Yeah.
Direct through the Treasury, and that's still a little clunky. It could take a couple days to move money back and forth.
Yeah. And isn't the shortest term they offer is 30 days, isn't it?
Right. And we can talk about that too.
Yeah.
Because now there's a big spread between 30 days and 60 and 90 days. And there's never been a spread before.
Det er jo ikke alls like interessant det de snakker om da. Men det er en del du kan fange opp når de snakker og så er norsk. Men er det ikke litt påfallende at dette her media, at dette blir spammet, sånn informasjon som ikke er for dette? Jeg synes det er helt hårreisende hvor sensuren har vært på internett, det greiene. Bill Holter er jo veldig anerkjente kar. Men sannheten, den skal ikke ut. Folk skal miste pengene i Norge. De skal stjele det. Agenda 2030, det er det går ut på. Blakke. Folk skal være blakke.
They do not want to lose their working capital. Now, it is a game of musical chairs. Can the music stop in the 30 days? Well, of course it can. And the value of the dollar could plummet. And all of a sudden, your business model that worked fine now is upside down, and every widget that you sell, you lose money on.
Right.
Because of the currency change. The other exit, as you mentioned, is gold and silver. And it is a very small door. And we found that out when I did that trade, and I know Andy did another big trade afterwards.
Right.
$50 million basically cleaned up every single silver eagle, every single bag of junk, every half dollar and every silver dollar in the United States through, I mean, we went to all the dealers.
And that was one buyer.
That was one buyer.
And that was all U.S. Mint coins.
Yeah, it was all U.S. Mint coins,
right?
exactly. 27 million cleaned up, all the silver.
Wow.
And we crippled the pre-33 gold market with 23 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, for 4 to 6 weeks after that, it was impossible to find 50 or 100 coins.
So wondering where that person stored all that silver, because that's a pretty bulky amount. You need a big room and you need a big underground bunker for that.
I could tell you, but I'd have to.
Yeah, you need like a commercial elevator in that bunker. That's a lot of silver.
Yeah.
But boy, it's a great investment.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of silver, but it's not a lot of money.
Yeah, I hear you.
It's a ham sandwich. It's nothing
compared to what's floating around.
You're talking about a small amount of millions,
right?
When billions are tossed around on a daily basis.
Yes. Yes.
And I mean, the word trillions are now thrown around.
Well, I can't believe that more wealthy people aren't just buying up every last ounce of silver and gold right now.
That's coming very, very soon, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about what's coming. And again, let me just remind people, your website's billholter.com. And I don't know what all you have on there, but I assume other interviews and videos and things.
Yeah, it's very similar to JS Mindset.
Okay.
It's based on the same.
Okay.
Same idea.
Awesome. Great. So you and I think, both believe that this isn't just a cycle we're going through. It's not going back to normal. This is the end of the system as we've known it. Can you speak to where you think this is going to end up? And I know timing is difficult. I'm not asking you for date predictions or anything, but where does this end? Like, currency collapse? The fiat currency goes down. What do we end up with? A state declaring their own state currency just to not collapse? Or how does this work?
Yeah, over the years, I've written, done interviews, and talked about where ultimately I thought this was going to end up, and pretty much it's narrowing down, and we're there. I mean, you could use the word civil war now, that the country will break up, and when I say break up, you have internal strife.
Yes.
And that's a very real possibility now. If you said it 5 years ago, you're a crazy person. But you can see it now because they've taken this pie and they've divided it between right and left. They've divided it between straight and gay. They've divided it between Christian and non-Christian. They've divided it male and female, the different genders.
Yeah. Right.
They've divided the country in so many different ways now that when the financial system breaks, and it will break based on the loss of confidence, but when the financial system breaks, you very easily could see a period of time, 2 weeks, 2 months, God forbid 6 months, of a period of literally Mad Max. You dial 911 and nobody answers the phone.
Right.
And I've talked about when credit goes down. Credit is based on confidence.
Yeah.
When credit goes down, guess what? Your lights don't work. Your water's not clean. There's no food in the stores. Stores aren't open. There's no gas at gas stations. Nothing runs. The real economy stops when credit stops.
That's right.
And so does the financial economy. When credit gets choked to a certain point and confidence breaks, then you have Bank A won't do business with Bank B, who won't do business with Bank C, who won't do business with Bank A, because each one is afraid of who their counterparties, the other counterparties are. So it's all about trust, and when trust breaks down.
Det er det jeg også har prøvd å sagt, at økonomien i et samfunn er akkurat like viktig som blod i et menneskekropp. Stoppe økonomien, så stopper absolutt alt. Det er jo det han har sagt. Og at så få folk opptog dette, det forstår jeg. For alt det andre vi snakker om nå, på sosiale medier, nyheter, det er bullshit-nyheter i forhold til dette som Bill Holter her snakker om. Og det er det vi må ta det viktigste, og hva er det som kan skje, forberede seg så godt som kan på dette. Eller kan det bare legge seg ned og gi opp? Det er jo også en mulighet da.
Then you have this, the whole edifice comes down because 100 years ago, the system was based on or foundationed upon gold and silver. That was the bedrock, and dollar bills were a derivative of gold, right? Today, the foundation itself is basically the US dollar / US treasuries. That's the foundation. So what you have is you have this huge edifice of debt piled on top of a foundation of debt.
Yes.
So when the confidence breaks, the whole thing collapses and the foundation collapses into the ground.
And it seems like too, the fractional reserve structure of the system is incompatible with modern society where people have their apps and they can move money in seconds, right? Because back in, let's say in the 1980s, you had to go to the bank and stand in line. There was friction of getting out, and they could just close the doors.
Well, we've had bank runs. Yeah. And we have long food lines. You just don't see them because of technology.
That's exactly. But right now, today, we saw how rapid the collapse was of Silicon Valley Bank because word spread. People are connected, and there's social media, Twitter, and whatever. And then people have their apps, and it's so simple to just move it all out, put it all into treasuries, for example.
At the push of a couple buttons.
Exactly. So the fractional reserve system is almost built to fail. It cannot withstand even really the slightest lack of faith in the system when people want their money.
Yeah, and ultimately, when you're saying it was built to fail, that brings my mind back to 1913. When the Federal Reserve,
Jekyll Island and all that.
Jekyll Island, exactly. The system was built to fail. The system was built to become a debt slave to the owners of the Federal Reserve, which we know is not federal, nor a reserve. It's owned by, 13 families or whatever.
Yeah.
And that is a great book. If people have not read The Creature from Jekyll Island, I would highly recommend reading that. That's a great book.
Yeah, I think a lot of our audience are familiar with that, and they tracked all that. And I think one of the questions then is, with Powell just raising interest rates another 25 basis points. Yeah, but do you think, are you offering a prediction? Are they going to hold? Is he going to raise it another 25? Or what do you think is coming from the Fed?
If the system doesn't break in 30 to 60 days, they'll raise it again. That's what they're doing.
Really?
I think this is a plan to crash the system.
It's working.
Well, yeah. Just look at what they did. They got the West and the United States, which is the reserve currency. They got the United States over indebted from a federal level, from a corporate level, and from an individual level. And then what do? You raise rates so that the debt can't be rolled over and financed. You put a choke point on new credit. And how do you kill a Ponzi scheme? You stop the new money coming in. So, the system has been a Ponzi scheme for years. And by choking off credit and increasing the cost of credit, now you've shut off the new money coming in. It implodes upon itself. I wrote this, I first started writing in 2007 after I left the country. And in 2007, I wrote that the policies that they were putting in place, and this was leading up to 2008, 2009, the policies that they were putting in place were too stupid. They were just plain too stupid. It had to be planned.
Right.
And that's where we are now.
Right. There's no way somebody would do this by accident. It's that crazy.
It's not even possible.
And also, too, I want to remind our audience that you walk your talk. You are preparing for the type of collapse that you're describing, and so am I. In fact, I want to thank you, Bill, because last time you were here, and is it okay? Can we talk about your dog publicly?
Sure.
Last time you were here, you showed me your dog, beautiful, beautiful dog. your security dog.
Yep.
And since then, it's people like you and a couple other guys that really inspired me to. I went and trained with a couple different security dogs. I ended up getting one, and he's actually outside right now because your dog is here.
Right.
And
my second dog. Your
second dog. Right. And see, you and I both understand the need for security given what's coming.
Yep.
And, I don't even have to guess. Of course, you're armed, and you probably noticed some of the hardware I have here. But, it's not that we're not violent people. We want to de-escalate violence, but sometimes when the zombie horde is crazy, we have to defend ourselves and our families and our property.
I'm your typical, I'm not going to say conservative. I'm a libertarian.
Mm-hmm.
I want to live my life. Leave me alone, and I'm not going to bother you.
Right.
And I came to the realization. I had a very good friend of mine who bought 2 dogs at one time and told me what he paid for them. And my first response was, "You're a complete idiot."
At first,
right?
And then you realize.
And I talked over the next week or 2 weeks. I talked to 4 or 5 people that I respect their opinions. And every single one of them said, well, if you could afford to do it, why wouldn't you do it? And the more I'm thinking about it, at my place, if I go down, the whole place goes down.
Right.
So who's got my back?
Right.
And I'm not like I'm 30, 40 years old anymore. I'm 60 years old.
Yeah.
So, you've got to have something watching your back. And there's nothing more loyal than a dog. And if you get a dog and the right type of dog that can walk the walk, then it's like walking around with a loaded gun.
I'm so stunned of having my experience with my dog Rhodey, who I'll introduce you to him later, but I'm just astonished at their athleticism, speed. They hear everything, they see everything. Like your dog is actually watching you and us and checking out the mood, right? And I'm not going to raise my voice with you today because I love to have all my limbs. And, but the dogs are tuned in.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, they're truly amazing animals.
Really are. But my point in even bringing that up was that you're not just somebody who goes online and talks about stuff, but then it's not an artificial facade. Like you live what you teach.
I have a plan.
Yeah.
And I've tried to put the plan in place. Is it a foolproof plan? Of course not. Have I forgotten some things? Of course I have.
Yeah, probably.
And I tell people all the time, when this goes down, you're going to be pissed at yourself because you forgot this, you forgot that.
Right.
All you can do is the best you can do with the means that you have.
Yes.
Just do the best that you can do. And don't beat yourself up because you will, without a doubt, have forgotten several things.
Right. What would you say to the people out there right now? Maybe not so many people watching this, but there are, outside of alt media, there are a lot of oblivious people who are still in a state of denial. They have no preparedness plans whatsoever. They believe in the system that is failing them.
What would I tell them?
Well,
don't come to my place.
Yeah, okay. Good answer. But they're going to, right? I mean, they're going to be seeking. They're going to be hordes of unprepared people.
Yeah,
this
is going to sound really crass. And I think I said this something 5 or 6 years ago, and I took major shit after the interview.
Oh yeah.
But I really believe it will get to the point, and like I said, maybe 2 weeks, 2 months, God forbid 6 months. But I do believe it will get to the point where you'll need a human head, skull, on a stick at the entrance to your property.
I see, like Predator style.
You understand what a purple fence post is here?
Yes. A lot
of people don't even know what that is.
Oh, it's a no trespass.
But everybody knows what a human head is on a stick.
That's true. That's true.
I apologize, but
no, that's why would anybody criticize that? I mean, you're talking about a specific scenario, a Mad Max collapse scenario. And frankly, there'd be a lot of skulls around at that point, I mean, it's not going to be hard to find one if you just want to put it on a stick, So, I mean, seriously, but I have a hard time dealing with people who are living in this bubble artificial reality where they said all along, well, banks won't collapse, you're just fear-mongering. And then the banks start collapsing. And then they say, well, the big banks won't collapse. It's just the small banks. And then it's more banks collapse.
Right.
They just keep making excuses until the day that they lose everything, you know?
That's without a doubt. So many people are going to be blindsided.
Yeah.
But I made a couple of phone calls last night to buddies of mine, and we've talked about this. And lo and behold, yesterday, I didn't get one, I didn't get two, I got a third email from 3 separate trolls, and probably trolls for 7, 8, 10 years, telling me what an idiot I am, apologizing to me that I was right.
Oh.
Believe that or not.
Whoa.
All in one day.
So you got apologies from former trolls.
Yeah.
And what did they say in the apology? Like, oh, the banks are collapsing?
You were right all along.
Whoa.
I should have listened to you.
Wow.
Which, I mean, it blew me away.
I mean, I don't expect to ever get apologies. that's I mean, most people never apologize.
I was shocked, but that was the case.
Wow. So, okay, so maybe some percentage of people are realizing what's going on. I mean, obviously, more people are looking at gold now. We're talking about mainstream buyers who previously wouldn't have looked at gold and silver.
Yeah, and some mainstream people with wealth that would never have looked at it before.
That's interesting.
One of the things you asked me about the demand, one of the things I've noticed is that not so much the amount of customers, although we did have, after SVB, I mean, it was crazy. But just in the last 12 months, the size of the orders have doubled, tripled, quadrupled.
Wow.
The orders are much, much bigger now than they were, say, 3 years ago.
All right, so let's talk to the people who are aware of what's going on. Probably most of our viewers have already purchased some amount of gold and silver. They probably have some means of self-defense. Most of them are, away from the big cities. What should they be thinking about right now in terms of what's coming? Because everybody's got money in the bank. Everybody's got probably a pension or a social security check or something. What do the informed people need to be aware of?
I would say for someone who is truly informed, just try to fine point your plan. Try to shoot your plan down. Try to find out where the flaws are. One way to do that is go home on a Friday, turn the electricity off, turn your water off, and live the weekend with no conveniences.
And see what goes wrong.
Right, exactly. Yeah. See what busts and fix it.
Excellent.
We had that, for example, we had the freeze a year and a half,
January 2021.
Right.
Yeah.
That freeze, I found out where my, where the choke points were, and I fixed those, and we had a double 12 degree night this year, back in, January or late December. We went through it fine because everything was fixed. But think about it, had 2 years ago not happened, and the system goes down,
right,
and we got a freeze and everything blew up, how are you going to fix it?
Yeah. Well, and exactly. And the same thing is true in financial plumbing. Right. And let's talk about freezes, because it seems like, after the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, there was a lot of talk among regulators and even in the Treasury of saying, well, the bank runs are the fault of the customers, that they took their money out and therefore we may have to limit that, right? So do you think that withdrawal limits are coming, or there would be bail-ins or bank freezes along the way here?
I would think there will be bail-ins, there will be freezes, there will be withdrawal limits. I would not count anything out. Mm. I mean, if anybody said, well, this could happen, I would never say, no, that's not possible.
Right.
Because anything at this point, anything is possible. Just think about it. You woke up this morning and then whatever news was out there today. If you told somebody today's top 5 headlines, even 5 years ago, they would laugh at you and call you, a complete idiot.
For sure.
Time for you to go to the mental institution.
Yeah.
I mean, so what's become I don't want to say commonplace, but what is accepted as normal today would have been idiocracy 5 or 10 years ago.
And now the mental institution has been emptied, and it's the Biden administration now running the country. Yeah. I mean, a bunch of.
Well, let's spend just a couple minutes on that.
Yeah.
You saw the new Navy's ad, right?
Oh my goodness! Yeah, the drag queen.
What would you feel like if you were in the Navy?
Yeah, I would be extremely pissed off, and there's a lot of Navy SEALs I know who are extremely pissed off right now.
There's a guy from SEAL Team 6.
Yeah.
Did 8 years with SEAL Team 6. Went ballistic and went public with it. And, I mean, think about this. We're spending more on our military than the rest of the world put together.
That's right.
And at this point, we're going to send a bunch of fags. I'm sorry, send a hate mail. But
you need to give out your email address for the proper hate mail.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Okay.
No, but, what are we going to send a bunch of fags in skirts to go fight the Chinese?
Queer tank crews.
Yeah, exactly.
Right,
Whatever.
with the battery-powered tanks that the Energy Secretary demands that all the military vehicles have to run on batteries.
Because there's going to be a charging station wherever they need.
Yes, there'll be a charging station in the middle of Ukraine that the Russians will leave alone.
Right.
It's going to be fine. Just recharge your tank. It only takes 47 days. I mean, these people are insane.
Again, these plans are too stupid to be a mistake.
I agree with you.
There's no way, there's not a possibility that these programs, these policies are a mistake. It is the purposeful takedown of the U.S.
M1 Abrams EV.
Yeah.
That World War III ends in 3 minutes because that's how much lithium is in that thing. It is. It's completely insane, but yet it's real also. I mean, we have to deal with the repercussions of this here. We have to deal with, cities here in Texas. We've got cities filled with oblivious liberals: Austin, Dallas-Fort Worth, Houston, El Paso, even San Antonio to some extent. In every city, there are oblivious people who are going to become panicked zombie mobs at some point.
It would not surprise me at some point if major metropolitan areas don't get ring-fenced.
Oh, really?
Just a thought.
Wow. By what, the state guard? Or, I mean,
to not let people out.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can definitely see, smaller towns just blocking highways
to keep people out.
To keep people out, exactly. Plus, we can take some of those heads on the sticks and put them on the bridges, and just like little warning signs. Yeah. But I mean, we laugh about this, but it's actually beginning to happen. It's not.
As far as Austin's concerned, I haven't been there, but I understand they have cleaned it up. There's no more homeless camps in Austin.
Is that right?
The bridges.
Last time I was there, it was a tent city.
Yeah, I've been to Austin, North Austin, twice, 3 times in the last 3 years, 3.5 years.
Right. I stay out of that place too.
Yeah, I was accosted by a tranny.
Oh, really?
Yeah, demanded a cigarette from me because I'm white and I'm rich. And
how did he know that? I mean,
and you owe me a cigarette.
So
that was the last time I was there.
A tranny that wanted to smoke a fag.
Yeah, exactly.
that got to be Austin. Yeah, keep Austin weird. Okay.
But they haven't cleaned up under the bridges, from what I understand.
Okay, interesting.
But I didn't know that.
But there are going to be people living there again. I mean, let's talk about real estate, because the commercial real estate market now, with the Fed raising rates and people not going back to work, more remote work, and also 70 plus corporations. You saw the news bankrupt this year, massive bankruptcies across the board. IBM saying we're not going to hire humans for positions that could be taken over by AI. I mean, aren't all the underpasses in every city in America going to be basically inhabited by the new homeless?
I would think so, yeah. And you're talking about real estate. Who made those loans? The banks.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the real estate loans, the commercial real estate loans are going to destroy the balance sheets of banks.
Yes.
And it's funny, just in the last probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I've had maybe a dozen different people ask me about, well, what about farmland? What about buying land? Well, yeah, I think it's a good idea if you're going to farm it.
Right.
But understand you're way overpaying for it because the prices of all real estate, whether it be a house, whether it be commercial, raw land, whatever, the prices have elevated, double, triple from what they were back in 2007, 2008.
Yes.
And why is that? Because of credit. And once credit dries up, who are you going to sell it to?
And the credit contraction is now underway. It's accelerating.
Right. It's already started.
And isn't it true that, $1 to $2 trillion, I forgot the number, of commercial real estate loans that are probably going to go bad over the next couple of years? Because, big
I think there's 600 or 700 billion that have to be rolled over, refinanced between now and 2025 and the end of 2025.
Okay.
But the point being, you're looking at much higher interest rates now.
Exactly.
Plus,
and lower occupancy.
So look at
where's the value?
Look at the appraisals.
Exactly.
You're not going to be able to roll them over because nobody's going to lend on a building that's 60% occupied when originally the loan was done when it was 92% occupied.
Well said. Yes. And there's not, there's no prospective future where these buildings are suddenly reoccupied by thriving corporations because, look at consumer purchasing behavior is falling off a cliff right now. You've got even the microchip companies. Yeah.
Look at San Francisco. The place is imploding.
Yes.
You've got, major, you can't even shop in San Francisco. First, you're going to get beat up or killed or whatever trying to shop. And now the stores are closing left and right.
Right. Well,
all those buildings have debt on them. That's
exactly. But, along those lines, though, Bill, we've also seen so many retailers now evacuating cities like Seattle and Portland and San Francisco and so on. And they're evacuating. Often they were just leasing those buildings, right?
So the landlords. Somebody owes something somewhere.
Exactly. The landlord is holding a building now that's useless because the retailer left it because all the sidewalks around that building are filled with addicts and prostitutes and violent criminals. And their employees can't even come to work without getting accosted by somebody.
Right.
So these inner cities are just going to be economically gutted. And by the way, shoplifting is already legal now in most of these cities.
Up to $1,000.
Up to, right. And where's it going to go when...
That's the credit limit. $1,000.
Yeah, right. But what about when the currency collapses? It's just going to be total mass gutting of anything on any shelf in any of these cities.
Well, here's my biggest concern. When the currency collapses, when credit ceases, when the system implodes and comes to a halt, this is no longer 1930. In 1930, everybody knew who their neighbors were within 2, 3, 5 miles.
Yeah.
Everybody knew everybody. People were morally better. Society was morally better. You helped people in need. If you were in need, people would help you. Today, if you're in need and you've fallen down on a sidewalk, you're probably going to end up with no shoes. Your wallet's going to be gone. Your chain's going to be taken off of you. You're going to be stripped clean by a bunch of vultures.
Yeah.
That's what concerns me, is that the morality today is the absolute reverse of what it was in 1930 when we went through the last depression.
Well, that's a really good point. And, if you fall down on the sidewalk in San Francisco, they'll steal your stuff and probably poop on your forehead, too, before you leave, because it's like San Francisco at this point, right?
Reason I have a dog.
Yeah.
Nobody craps on your head.
Yeah, exactly. Or they can attempt it, but they will be missing an ass cheek or two.
Yeah.
But again, you and I, we have thought through these scenarios for so many years that these are not new thoughts to us. Right. And that's what freaks a lot of people out, is they hear this for the first time and they go, "What? How can you? Why are you so negative?" We've all heard that before. Yeah. And the other day, I was interviewing somebody who said, "Yeah, his friend watches my show, but he gave me the nickname not Health Ranger but Death Ranger because I talked about how many people were going to die." And I'm like, well, you know what? People are dying. They're dying right now, and there's a lot more death coming. I'm not saying we're all going to die. I'm saying if you want to not die, then you need to take these steps.
Right.
I mean, this is about survival, is it not, ultimately?
Yeah, and when you're bringing up people are going to die, people are dying already.
Exactly.
There was a story today of a 12-year-old girl in Arizona.
Oh, I saw that.
Player,
yeah.
Had a heart attack. She did live. And immediately the newspaper, it just happened. I mean, like, so within 6 hours or 12 hours, the newspaper says, oh, but she had a congenital condition.
Uh-huh.
Really?
Right.
How did they discover that in 12 hours?
Yeah. No, it's always the same covers.
I had over 10 million YouTube views taken down from various sites because when the vaccine originally came out, I said, I'm not a doctor, but I do have some common sense. And the one thing I will say, if you take the vaccine, you are the guinea pig.
Absolutely.
So what's wrong with that?
Yeah.
And YouTube blew that to pieces.
Of course they did.
Greg Hunter had his taken down. I mean,
yeah.
I was his second strike.
Yeah.
But, I mean, there were channels taken down, millions and millions of views of pretty good stuff, of pretty real, real
yes.
stuff.
No, I know.
Was taken down, from your own site.
Yes. But we were taken down pretty early. Yeah.
Yeah.
And see, you went on with Greg Hunter and they gave his channel a strike. It's like sometimes if I go on somebody's channel, then they get a strike because they had me. Yeah, it's because it's me.
Yeah.
It's like they should call me the strike ranger because I will give your channel a strike. But that's what they do. They try to get everybody to not talk to you. Which is why I'm glad to have you here, by the way.
Well, and yeah, that's another topic. Censorship.
Yeah. Which I have enough. I mean, that's why I built Brighteon. So we can have this conversation. We can talk about heads on skulls, man. Exactly. I mean, skulls on sticks, excuse me. We can talk about forehead turds in San Francisco. Whatever we want. There are no limits to what we can talk about.
Good thing we're not drinking beer.
That would make it even more entertaining, I think. Like, 5 rounds with Bill Holter,
Yeah.
And his dog.
No, but that's really, the censorship that's going on it's like so dangerous.
Yeah.
I don't know where it's going to lead, but it's not a good place.
No, it's not a good place. I do see a lot of pushback, by the way, happening legally. Right. And we're doing some research, and some of our attorneys are doing some research. But man, when DHS and the White House tell big tech who to blacklist, and they enforce that, it is blatantly unconstitutional, illegal, violation of civil rights. And they're doing it.
Well, it's not only blatant, but it then makes obvious. If you pull back the curtain, it then makes obvious that they're not on your side.
For sure.
And when I say on your side, I'm talking about the people who use common sense, who have, legit morals, who are Christians. I mean, if you're a Christian, you're a domestic terrorist. Piss on you. That's
what the FBI thinks. If you're a Christian, you're a terrorist. They want to infiltrate the Catholic churches. But here's, another question for you, Bill, then. So all of this censorship and then the false narratives that are catapulted out there by the establishment, it seems to me they are designed, even Janet Yellen saying everything's fine, and Jamie Dimon, it's all fine. Yeah, because you're vacuuming up all the banks. But isn't it all designed to just keep people oblivious as long as possible so they don't know? The exactly. Yeah, to that very last moment.
Right,
and then
they pull the plug and everyone's shocked.
Right.
Right. No, absolutely. I mean, it's been propaganda the entire path.
You might get a lot more apologies coming your way on that day. If the phone system works, who knows?
I was going to say, probably not.
Yeah. The trolls won't even be able to email you on that day and apologize because probably the whole system.
I'm not truly not looking forward to.
No, I'm not either. I don't
that coming, but this is math.
Yeah.
This is
right.
Well, it's common sense logic, but mostly math. Financially, the system is a Ponzi scheme. All Ponzi schemes eventually fail, and they fail once new money no longer comes in, and that's what they're doing. That's what they're showing you that they're doing. It's going to fail. So this is no longer Mike Adams or Bill Holter's opinion. 12 years ago in 2009, or even before 2007, I was telling people 2008, 2009, I didn't know the timing of it, but I said, it's coming.
Yeah.
And they told me I was nuts, but it was my opinion at that point because things just didn't look right. This is no longer my opinion. This is pure math that the system is untenable. And then you look at geopolitically, Russia understands more than you and I do. China understands more than you and I do. They understand that the United States has been living or using a never pay model for 60, 70 years. Globally.
Yeah.
In other words, they send us products,
right,
and we send them pieces of paper, dollars.
Yeah, what an incredible deal.
Yeah, it's a great deal. It costs us nothing.
Yeah.
Our standard of living is many multiples what it should be.
That's what people don't understand.
Right.
That's why I tell people things like, you should go buy, clothespins.
Right.
Right now, because they're pennies. One day, they're going to be dollars.
Because they're
something,
available.
Because they're available, and we have these global supply chains that are still partially functioning right now. And you think about the little things you need, even like first aid bandages, right?
Yeah.
You can get bandages for pennies. That's not going to last, or even, let's say, an oil filter for your tractor, right? Right now, oil filter, $15. Try to get it 3 years from now.
You might not be able to get one that even fits.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's something. We live in Texas. I have several air conditioning units on my property. I went out and I bought enough parts to completely rebuild 2 of those AC units.
That's smart.
I have 2 water wells. I have enough parts to completely rebuild 1 of the 2 water wells.
The pump, the whole pump.
The pump.
Yeah.
The pump, the
piping and everything.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really smart. I'm the same way.
Well, when I did it, I'm thinking to myself, I don't care what it costs because at least I can get it.
Right.
At some point in time, I'm not going to be able to get it. And then 3 months later, and actually the air conditioning parts took me 3 months, 4 months to get.
Even now.
But I had already paid for them, had already locked the price in.
Yeah.
And the guy said to me 3 or 4 months later, when I got the parts, he goes, man, you made a great decision. He goes, these things are already 40%. Everything costs 40% more.
Right.
So, but you should, and I'm just saying this to your audience, go through the things that you might need in the next year or 2 years. How about a car battery? If your battery goes dead.
Absolutely.
How about 4 tires?
Right.
How about, like you said, Band-Aids or a very good
first aid
kit.
Yeah, skin staplers, man.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Super glue.
Exactly. After I told you
that stuff works, man.
Yeah, my dog got cut. I had to stitch him. Folks, it was an innocent accident. He ran into a stick. Unfortunately, didn't have a skull on it at the time.
But super glue's an old trick.
Super glue. In fact, 3M sells a super glue product for dogs. It's called like vet something. It's just super glue.
Yeah, we used
to put skin together.
I played hockey. We used it on our faces.
Exactly.
I super glued my eyebrow together.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you don't have. But I also bought skin staplers.
Look how good I look now.
Yeah, see, clearly it worked. But you're exactly right. I mean, all these things are dirt cheap and they're very available right now. And then if people are putting away some gold and silver at the same time, the purchasing power of that gold and silver, in the worst case, will preserve itself. But more likely, it's going to purchase more down the road.
More likely, if you have gold and silver in the next system, and I'm not talking about the CBDC, first reset, the second reset, I don't know, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, I don't know how long it's going to take to get to the next system.
Yeah.
But if you own gold and silver, you will be a bank.
What do you mean?
Remember we talked about 100 years ago, gold was the foundation and dollars were issued off the gold.
Yeah.
think about yourself and it's obviously you don't want people to know you have gold or silver,
right?
But you will have capital where everyone else is not going to have capital. So a banking system's got to be funded by something, right?
Right. So are you saying that you
will become a major shareholder of your local bank? Because your local bank is funded with gold or silver or whatever.
And they will demand, they will need gold and silver to back up whatever currency is being issued at the time. And, okay, we're both in Texas. Well, maybe the state of Texas, right, they have the depository.
Yep.
Maybe one day you drive, I don't know, a truckload of silver to the depository. You deposit that and they give you Texas bucks credits that are, millions of dollars worth of Texas bucks because they need the silver.
Right.
And now the Texas bucks you can use in the Texas economy.
Right.
That makes sense. States had better be thinking about this.
Well, there are states, that are making. There's quite a few states that are making gold and silver legal tender.
Right, like Wyoming, I know, has done that. And has Tennessee done that?
I think it's in their Congress.
Okay. Yeah.
I think there's 19 states altogether.
That's amazing.
That either have done it or are in the works currently.
Does your dog ever go on camera? Does she?
Yeah.
Would she be cool? You want to bring her up here?
Yeah.
Yeah, good girl. Yeah. That's awesome. Well, that's great. My audience is going to love this.
Yeah, you shouldn't show the slipping around part.
No, that's okay. This is kind of slick, yeah. But, hi, girl. This is awesome. Yeah. Oh, she got the microphone going. Yeah. That's awesome.
Come on.
Okay. Good, she did it. Yeah, I can't wait for you to meet my dog, too. Yeah, see, this is a dog-friendly studio, folks. We are all set up. So, if any of you out there, if you mess with Bill... Huh? Yeah, it is. It's definitely slick. Yeah. So, if you mess with Bill, that's what you're going to get to... That's going to be all over you instead of on the desk. And if you thought surviving San Francisco was bad, try hand-to-hand combat with one of these dogs. What breed is she again?
She's a Dutch Shepherd.
Wow. Man, it's so impressive. And she's so alert and just...
Still a baby. She's only 16 months
That's old. Amazing. So you're still training her every week, or what do you do?
I take her with my horse every day.
Okay, that's great. Do you do bite work with her then? You have somebody come out with a suit?
Yeah, we have. Yeah.
Okay.
She bit through a Kevlar suit. Broke the skin. The guy said it had been 3 or 4 years since he had skin broken through a suit.
Wow. That's some serious jaw power.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and you have extra water for her in your car.
Oh, yeah.
I assume. Okay. She might get thirsty after all this stuff. Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, I have, the dog mattress there. I've got a kennel back there if we ever need it. I've got water bowls and such. Dog-friendly studio. Probably the first one.
First one I've been to.
There you go. See? Dog-friendly studio. Also gold and silver friendly and plenty of firearms. This is the right place for you, Bill. But look, I don't mean to get too tangential here, but I do like to have a little fun with you. But getting back to the core issue here, and also respecting your time, how do we need to kind of encapsulate our conversation today? What's the most important takeaway?
The most important takeaway would be trust your gut. When I say trust your gut, you either know something's not right.
Let me get this a little closer to you.
Yeah, you either know something's not quite right and you don't know exactly what it is, or you know what it is. You know something's not right. Trust your gut and do the best you can as fast as you can to come up to speed and to come up, to have a workable plan.
Yeah. So by trust your gut, does that also mean don't trust the authorities? They're lying to us all the time. Maybe that's by default, but trust your gut even in the face of like all this social pressure to conform, or?
Well, it's pretty easy to decipher. To this point, it's been very easy to decipher what's true and what's not true based on who's telling you.
Yeah, true, right.
I mean, if mainstream media is telling you the same thing the government's telling you, you know it's bullshit.
It's a lie.
Okay?
Yeah.
Now, this is, and I've just started saying this on writing and interviews in the last month or so, we're coming into a dangerous time because of AI.
Oh, yeah. Right.
You're not going to be able to trust your own eyes. You're going to see stuff on the TV that is complete fabrication.
Yes.
That's going to ratchet up the difficulty in figuring out what's real and what's not real, what's true and what's not true.
But the governments and the tech giants will, of course, exploit that. I think they already have in some cases, to continue to create this artificial reality and try to get you to buy into it.
Correct.
With fake accounts, fake newscasters. I mean, but by the way, do these newscasters realize they're already obsolete? Because it's just going to be a CGI avatar reading the scripted CIA.
Well, they already were.
Yeah.
I mean, how many videos have you seen where they have 53 different news announcers that say exactly the same thing?
Yeah, but they were still human at that point.
Yeah, they actually collected a paycheck, but now they're not going to be human, right?
They won't even be needed by the system. Right. They'll just be generated avatars. And social media, it could be 98% AI, CIA-controlled AI voices telling you how great it is to groom children or whatever.
The futuristic movies that we saw when we were younger, they've arrived.
Yeah, right.
Unfortunately.
They have.
They've arrived, and it's, it's satanic. It's bad shit. It's bad. It's just, it's evil.
I completely agree with you. Okay, a couple of things. Let's give out your website one more time. BillHolter.com is the site. And you promised to give an email where trolls can reach you.
Yeah, if you want to reach my business email, it's bholter@hotmail.com.
Oh. Hotmail's still around?
Yeah.
Is it? Does Microsoft own that now? Or I think Microsoft. They bought that. Yeah. Okay, Hotmail.
I've just had it for
12
years or whatever.
Right. Well,
I use that for business only. So
okay, great. So bholter@hotmail.com.
Yeah.
Okay, and then you also can you help people acquire gold and silver if they're interested in that?
Yeah, I mean you can reach me either through my website or through the email address.
Okay, and what about that? What should they know about purchasing gold and silver? I mean, right now is kind of a lull, I think, compared to what's probably coming, but also prices have spiked up recently. So.
Actually, prices spiked up, premiums spiked.
Yeah.
The premiums, not on gold. Gold is basically held, but the outlandish premiums on silver have just started to turn and shrink a little bit, just over the last week.
The outlandish ones from all the way from last year that were crazy?
No, from the SVB.
Oh, okay, from the recent.
I mean, if you look at some of the big online dealers like AppMax or SD Bullion or even Kitco was selling Silver Eagles for $50.
Really?
It's 100% premium.
Oh my! Yeah, $20 plus premium.
Fair price now is like $41, $42.
That still seems high. What's the premium on that?
16, 17 over spot.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
But what I'm saying is that's softening. 50 cents, $1. They've softened a little bit in the last week.
Man, because I was buying silver not that long ago, like $3.50 over spot,
I can remember the day when we were buying junk silver at spot.
Yeah.
50 cents over spot. We were buying Eagles for $2.75 or $3 over spot.
Wow.
And, Maples would have been $2 or $2.25. I mean, you can't buy a 100-ounce bar now for less than $3.50 over spot.
Yeah, right, exactly. Do you recommend, for some people, are bars a decent option? I know it's much more difficult to work with. I mean,
well, you can't use them.
Right.
All that is the only reason you would buy a 100-ounce bar or a kilo bar or something like that would be to purchase it today, and you're looking to swap it later for gold or swap it for whatever currency comes out.
Right.
It's not usable. There's no. The most functional silver there is junk silver.
Yes. Which is what, pre-1964?
1964 and earlier.
Oh, okay. Got it. And that that is roughly what, about 90% silver content, or 90?
It's exactly 90%.
90%.
Yeah.
Okay. But I heard that most of the junk silver was gone from the supply chain. I mean, it's hard to find.
It's more difficult to find.
Yeah.
And that's why it is the canary in the coal mine. I mean, when that dries up completely, and we've gone, since SVB, call it, what, 8 weeks? We've probably had junk available not even a quarter of the time. Maybe 15 days.
Okay.
We've had junk available. I mean, we went a span of 3 weeks where we had no junk whatsoever.
Wow. Okay, that's wild.
So that is the canary in the coal mine because there's no production.
Yeah.
The only availability is when an estate sells or somebody sells their silver.
Okay. All right. Well, Bill, I can't thank you enough for coming in and spending time with us. It's been a lot of fun, and I think people are learning a lot. And so the website, folks, is billholter.com, and I want to thank you, Bill, for coming in and taking the time. You have a lot of knowledge, and you have been correct again and again, and I think it's going to play out in much the way that you've described here. So I appreciate you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And thank all of you for watching. Of course, this is brighttown.com. I'm Mike Adams, and you can repost this video on other channels and other platforms. Go ahead and do that, but just give a link to billholter.com. Give him credit for coming in. And I hope you enjoyed this. We had a lot of fun, but covered a lot of serious topics. We always try to bring you the best right here on brighttown.com. Thanks for watching. God bless America.
Det ikke litt påfallende at dette skal bli sensurert vekk? Hva det groen som feil å få høre her? Det rett og slett sannheten, det som nærmer sannheten, at folk må ikke få vite sannheten? Når jeg lurte jeg systemet for denne her, jeg lastet ned lydfilen, så får vi se om de tar det vekk på YouTube, det vet jeg ikke. Men det så mye sensur i dag, og så jeg mener veldig viktige informasjon, men det så viktig det sensurerer de. Altså sånne ting så jeg kaller det for se- og hørjournalistikk. Det ikke sensur på det. Så bare spy ut med sånn dritt. Så ta oppmerksomheten vekk fra dette. Det dette som viruset. Det dette som the Great Reset. Det dette det handler om. Ta pengene fra folk. For når vi utmattet folk. Først har de utmattet en del folk nå mentalt i mars 2020. Hvis de ikke var utmattet fra før av, og så nå tar de økonomien noe fra dem. De tok de både psykisk brød de ned, og brød de ned økonomisk, så blir de akkurat så sauer alle. Nå kan staten og Erna og politikerne gjøre akkurat så vil med folk. Det et psykisk spill det de holder på med. Og det det svært få folk i Norge som klart og skjønt hvordan dette her egentlig fungerer. Det så utspekulert at folk klarer ikke fantasere engang hvor galt det. Det overgår fantasien så mange hakk dette her. Og det som meget uroende for. Så mer du holder på å grave, mer du ser det fra fugleperspektiv dette her, så ser du det veldig lett hvor galt dette her Men folk vil jo ikke bruke tida si på dette. Folk synes det ubehagelig. Og de tror ikke at det så galt. Men det verre. Jeg blir ikke sjokket av noen ting lenger. Selv hvor galt dette her Men det jo et stykke hodet frem, så sier du noe galt, så blir du kritisert for det, men det driter jeg i. Så lenge at du har mer rett til å være galt, så det greit. For ut ifra informasjon, så kan du forberede deg og være litt forberedt på ting som kommer. Har du ikke informasjon, så det hele veien pitteskudd. Og drive og, til mer informasjon du har, til mer kan du forberede deg på en måte, og i hvert fall prøve å gjøre det beste ut av situasjonen. Så en skal ikke gi opp før det nødvendig. Og disse her makthaverne og politikerne, de skal ikke få noen lette kamp. For dette en 3. verdenskrig med, og den blir ikke utkjempet med kuler og krutt, tror jeg. Jeg tror ikke, jeg har ikke tro på det. Det manipulasjon, psykiske og mentale utmattelser. Det det de bruker. Det det verktøyet de bruker nå. Det har jeg vært utsatt for nå i 10 år. Ja, 9 år i alle fall. 2014 begynte dette her, da jeg opplevde hvordan dette faenskapet virker. Og nå bruker de det faen på alle. Så, men det vanskelig for, det tok meg mange år å forstå, og jeg forstår det en lang vei å forstå, men det handler om å bruke tiden din, begynne å etterforske selv, begynne å bruke dette her AI, dette her greiene, kunstig intelligens, still spørsmål, og så husk at det du, hvis du vil de skal skrive noe, så er det for deg de må skrive, ikke hva AI mener, men om de kan lage et brev eller lage en artikkel der du får uttrykke dine meninger, da gjør de det. Men hvis du skriver liksom, det er litt sånn triks eller ut her du må kunne for å få det der AI til å virke, for det er enormt med manipulasjon der også. Jeg har opplevd det mange ganger. Ting som jeg har sett meg inn i, så jeg har fått det bekreftet av AI. Jo, det er helt riktig sånn som jeg sier, men, og så kommer det til bortforklaringene. Det har jeg gjennomskuet de mange ganger nå. Og sånn som det første som jeg gjorde det med, det var dette med oljefondet. For det er jo sånn jeg begynte å rote i dette, for jeg forstod oljefondet var spinn i helsekken gale. Og det var jo nettavisen de skrev hvor mange Tesla vi hadde. Det var ikke rim i det nettavisen skrev det, og så sa jeg om jeg heller rekte det om i gull. Ja, det var et dårlig forslag, sa han, journalisten. Og til mer jeg holder på gravt og sitt, så ser jeg hvor galt skal dette her. Her tror folk, norske folk, at vi er rike, altså noe. Vi hadde oljefond og bla bla og alt det, men sannheten er det at oljefondet er antagelig forduftet. Det brukes til å finansiere dette Agenda 2030. Og det har også for så vidt AI bekreftet for meg, for det er jo mange fattige land som liksom Norge skal utjevning og alt det der greiene. Og derfor så er jeg temmelig sikker på at det er mer riktig i dette, eller jeg kan ikke handle detaljene, men og de også bekreftet også det som jeg også spør oljefondet, hvis Norge hadde kjøpt gull fra 1998, så hadde hatt betydelig mer verdi i Norge, eller sånn som det er Tangen de gjør, det er jo Tangen på slutten, de satt på å forvalte det før, det er jo bare holdt det de holder på med. Men det er sånn at Norge har hatt gull, så kunne de ikke holde på å jukse og finansiere Agenda 2030 og sprunge rundt og delte ut penger i verden og alt sånt noe. Så det er derfor de må ha de aksjer, for da er det likvide, da er det enkelt å skjule pengeforbruket de bruker, for folk har ikke kontroll med det da. Hadde vi hatt gull, så måtte de jo tog og selte ut gull, og da hadde folk oppdaget tyveriet med en gang. Så rådet er Norge. Men folk har ikke kunnskaper. Folk forstår ikke dette her i dag. Folk forstår ikke realverdi en gang lenger. Folk tror bare det at vi bare oppretter nye jobber i det offentlige, så er alt bare godt, men folk forstår ikke det at det går tomt. Folk tror jo det at dette oljefondet er utømmelig, at det skal hjelpe oss og bla bla alt. Det er så falskt og feil informasjon at det går an. Oljefondet det kan forsvinne så dykk fra solen når økonomien raser i Amerika. Eiendomsmarkedet skjelver, bankene skjelver, industrien, eller næringslivet likevel. Og når dette eksploderer, så er oljefondet vekke. Og norske politikere og makthavere trenger ikke stå til ansvar for egentlig, hvis den teorien at oljefondet er allerede tapt, så tror jo alle at det er på grunn av bankkrise og det greiene. Det er en grunn for Norge, det eneste landet i Europa som ikke har gull. Og ikke sølv. Så jeg har ikke hatt detaljene, men jeg ser luser på gangen hva de holder på med. Og det er jo veldig trist, men skal de ha vekk den norske befolkningen, så kan jeg forstå det, men hvis de ikke det, så får de i alle fall veldig tøft de unge som skal overta dette her. Hva skal de leve av? Men nå, ja, jeg har ikke grove nok i det der, men det er skremmende det vi ser med den tapte generasjonen som mange hadde det. Lykkepiller og antidepressive og helt hjernevaste. De har ikke økonomi. De er på skole borte vranglærte. Altså vranglære. Og masse studiegjeld har de, og på dette her greiene. Og kapitaleliten har profitert på boligene. Det er jo boliger på, kan si, på slutten av 90-tallet, begynnelsen av 2000, så gjorde jo om at boliger i Norge ble et spekulasjonsobjekt. Det steg til noe voldelig til boligprisene, og det er jo også medført at Norge er jo det landet som har mest høyeste privatgjeld. Alt dette her, alle de der meningene som jeg har, de har jeg, som mange vil si, spinngalne, de har jeg dobbeltsjekket med AI, og AI har faktisk, for AI de svarer meg, når jeg sender noe til noen journalister eller noen andre, svarer meg ikke, de ignorerer meg bare. Men AI de svarer, og AI de bekrefter, men de kommer jo med bortforklaringer. Det gjør de. Så, men det betyr ikke noe. Det viktigste er for meg at jeg ikke er helt på hvite banker, men det tror jo de fleste folk. For alt er jo mer eller mindre snudd 180 grader i denne verden. Det har skjedd, spesielt de siste 10 år. Det har vært helt... Det har skjedd noe, men det skjedde likevel så gradvis, riktig men sakte, som mange har ikke egentlig oppdaget det. Så... Det er 2 valg. Enten så må du bare gi deg i hendene på makthaverne og godta alt det de vil, eller så må du tillegge deg kunnskap og prøve på den måten å stå imot og se og håpe at de feiler til slutt. Jeg vet ikke hva som skjer. En dag mener jeg det, og en dag mener jeg det. Jeg er 50-50 om globalistene klarer dette her, eller ikke klarer det. Så jeg blir hele veien hver vei for mer kunnskap og forstå enda mer komplisert bilde. Men den største utfordringen til menneskeheten, og det er mediapropaganda, sensuren og alt det der greiene.